My sheep hear my voice, I know them, and they follow me. Good day, brothers and sisters. My name is Ayana Delayan, and welcome to Pathways of Hope. Today's gospel is taken from John 10:22 to 30. Do you know that each of us have very unique voices? That our voice is actually as unique as our fingerprints. There's nothing like it in all eternity. That's how uniquely God made you. But let's talk about Jesus' voice. He says, my sheep hear my voice. And it's not just anyone else's voice, it's his voice. And I'd like to point out three things about Jesus' voice. Number one, his voice has authority. Remember, at the sound of his voice, it's able to calm down a raging storm. The sound of his voice, he has called dead people back to life, healed the sick. So his voice has authority and power. Not all voices have that. Second, his voice is very personal and intimate. You know, in shepherding, sheep, as we know, very dumb animals. But their lack of intelligence is made up with their intimacy with their shepherd. You can separate the sheep just by the shepherd calling them. They would follow him immediately. It's natural instinct to them. No brainer. And, in the same way, our good shepherd, Jesus Christ, has a very personal and intimate relationship with us. He is a God that is not distant. He thrives in a growing personal relationship with us. In that, for instance, you're hearing a song and you've been pondering about something in your heart. And when you heard that, you just know it is God speaking to you because of how personal it could be. And I'm sure you've experienced it in your life. Many circumstances that points out that he is speaking to you because he is very personal. I also really am amazed about the science behind being called by our own names. There are neurological patterns that activates that even if we are in a very crowded and noisy room, or even if we're half asleep and yet someone calls our name, it activates the neuron patterns and suddenly we recognize. In the same way, God really relates to us by calling us our name very personally, addressing us and speaking to our hearts. Finally, Jesus' voice is aligned with the truth because he is truth. I am the way, the truth, and the life. He is truth. And whatever he says is we can counter check it. If this is aligned to the truth, then you know this is the voice of God. That's why it's also really amazing. In the Bible, it's written by several authors across several years, and yet when you check the cross reference, you'd find it the truth is affirmed by somewhere else in the Bible. It's really orchestrated by the God who is truth. And how can we grow in recognition of this voice? We spend time with him. Like I said, we want to thrive in a personal growing relationship with him. You know, when you spend time with someone else, even if the person calls you from afar, you know who that person is. Even almost the sound of the person's footsteps, you know who that person is. Or I've noticed being close to a friend and that friend texts me using another number, does not even give identification, and yet the verbiage, I know immediately who it is. And in the same way, among the hundreds, thousands of voices that we hear around us, we would know whose voice, who Jesus is when we have spent time with him. And finally, how do we know if we are his sheep? He is our shepherd. Finally, he says, I know them and they follow me. Obedience. The goal of hearing God is intimacy with him and obedience to him. And we ask for that grace to recognize our shepherd's voice, to grow in relationship with him, and to obey him always. If you have been inspired by this short reflection, please like and share it to a friend. Have a good day.